Every organisation must have an accident report book and keep a log of any injuries that happen. If you work in a specific local authority, they might have a specific accident reporting procedure that you need to follow. This might mean that there's specific paperwork, specific forms that you need to fill out every single time an accident happens. Some organisations have this reporting procedure on an online system. So rather than completing a book that looks like this, you might log onto a computer and fill out some form of accident report form on that online system. So it's always worth checking with your organisation what accident reporting procedures that you have in place, because you might have to follow specific routines for them. Every single time an accident happens, regardless of how big or small that accident is, you must keep a log of it on an accident report form. Now, you could buy quite a formal looking accident report book that looks like this, and every single time an accident happens, you're going to open up this book and you're going to complete one of the forms inside. Or alternatively, you could just buy a blank notepad, and every single time an accident happens, you keep a log of it inside that notebook. In terms of the information that you need to record, first of all, you're going to write down who the casualty was and who the first aider was. You might put down some general details of the event, so what was the location, what time was it, some more details around where it happened. You're then going to have a general log of what happened, how did the injury occur, and what injuries did the casualty suffer from. You can then put a description of what treatment happened, and then sometimes at the bottom we have a tick box to say, did you seek professional medical help? Did you take the person to hospital or call for an ambulance? It's important to recognise that the information contained within an accident report book should be protected. This means that every single time you complete an accident report form, you should rip out the page and store that page separately so that not anybody can just go up to your accident report book and look through everyone's personal information. The data must be protected. Lots of people wonder why we have to fill out an accident report form. Some people think it's to protect you from being sued, because if someone sues you, you can show this report that lists out exactly what happened and what you've done. That's not the case. That's not the reason we fill out an accident report form. The main reason we fill out an accident report form is so that we can pick up on trends of accidents and then use that information to stop future injuries from happening. So for example, if you work in a nursery, every so often someone in that nursery should look through the accident report form and they should try and pick up on trends of accidents. So for example, has someone hurt themselves on a toy several times? You might have seen that 5 kids have hurt themselves on a particular piece of equipment inside your nursery. If that's the case and you've identified a trend, you can then intervene to prevent future injuries from happening in future. So for example, if 5 kids have hurt themselves on a toy, you can intervene by going and have a looking at that toy and seeing if there's something that's broken on it that could cause harm. And if that's the case, you can either fix it or you could replace it to prevent future injuries from happening in future. So the main reason we fill out an accident report form is to pick up on trends and stop future injuries from happening. Now, often people don't come around checking to see that you filled out this accident report form. Often the only time you'll get caught out is because if a child hurts themselves and their parents claim on your public liability insurance, then the insurance company can refuse to pay out if you can't show that you've had a proper accident reporting procedure in place. So it's really important that you're filling out the accident report book, not only to prevent future injuries from happening, but often also to keep your insurance valid. There's also a specific regulation called RIDDOR, which stands for Reporting of Injuries, Diseases and Dangerous Occurrences Regulations. And what this says is that if there's a serious accident in your organisation, as well as filling out your internal or normal accident reporting procedures, you must also inform the government or inform the Health and Safety Executive. And the way that you do this is if you Google RIDDOR, you'll get the Health and Safety Executive's website, and on there there's an online accident report form that you have to complete and get sent off to that organisation. Now what you'll usually find is if you have to complete one of these forms, someone will turn up at your organisation from the Health and Safety Executive to risk assess your workplace and check that everything's operating safely. If they find a problem, they can close you down until you rectify that problem. Now, what sort of injuries would you need to report? or any serious injury, such as loss of one of your senses, the ability to speak, see, hear, or smell, the ability to taste as well. Any loss of limb, so if someone loses a finger or they lose an arm, something like that. Death also needs to be reported, some diseases, and anything that keeps someone off work for more than 7 days. For more detail on the type of injuries you should be reporting, visit the Health and Safety Executive's website.